You are listening to the Pot.Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and this podcast is going to teach you all about what's happening, what the trends are, the latest news, the thought leaders, the business leaders in the cannabis industry. As this industry moves forward at a rapid pace, everyone needs to adapt. Everyone needs to change to what's going on. And we're going to bring you those guests. What are they doing to make their business successful? What are they doing to get their product out there? How are they getting exposure? How are they dealing with all the changing laws? That's what Pot.Live is going to be all about. And make sure you visit Pot.Live, download the app, go to the website, and you will see all of the digital media assets from articles, videos, podcasts, everything. The latest news and trends will all be at Pot.Live. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Check out the new MJ.com. Connecting the culture, silencing the stigma. The only destination online where you can educate, locate, entertain, and shop. You have VIP memberships. You've got a full shop and marketplace. Industry Insider gives you all original content to our blog, all the best articles from thought leaders around the world. You've got medical information, the ability to get your medical marijuana card. You've got delivery. You've got all the digital media content you would need. You've got brand partners, business solutions, locate your dispensaries, find info on any strain you can imagine, play games with our 420 trivia game, download the free app, check out MJ.com. Welcome to another episode of the Pot.Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G. And today we have our special guest, Mr. Zak Garcia. He is the CMO of CBDCapitalGroup, and they have just acquired Medix CBD. And Medix CBD just announced that they are becoming the first CBD company to offer its entire consumer base a short-form medical outcome study to measure the effects of their products on their quality of life. And we're going to have Zak go into detail on that. Zak, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lenny G.
Excellent. So tell us, before we dive into your personal journey, let's jump right into what is CBD Capital Group? What is Medix CBD? Tell us how they're related so our listeners can understand where you're coming from.
So CBD Capital Group is a group of entrepreneurs and business operators who have come together to invest in small to medium-sized CBD brands and provide them with the capital, expert advice, and operational resources needed for growth and liquidity. And Medix CBD was our first acquisition that we closed earlier this year. And we're really excited about what Medix has going on. And as you mentioned, the study that we're doing is going to hopefully prove that CBD products are efficable and that they work for people through a very consistent medical survey that we are licensing from the RAND Corporation, which was used in the medical outcomes study. So very exciting times for CBD, and it's important that CBD Capital Group helps to push the whole industry forward through providing not only studies like this, but also helping customers get access to really high quality products.
Yeah, and that's perfect timing. I don't know if you saw when we're recording this last week, CNN had a documentary. I think they have a series called Weed something, but it was about the CBD and the dangers of people, whether they're vaping with black market stuff or they're buying brands that really have no scientific research behind them. So let's dive deeper into that, Zak. There are a zillion CBD brands out there, and for the new consumer that's really not that educated in the space, they might just be buying the cheapest one, the most convenient one. So let's go a little deeper on what you said. Why is it important to have that scientific research behind the product so you can trust it?
Yeah, it's one of the issues that the cannabis industry is still needing, which is more studies, more data, and more research, right? And so a lot of people that are a little wary about what cannabis is, they think of the old days and reefer madness and that kind of thing. So I think that there's been a lot of adoption with most people out there that this is, not a harmful substance. And in fact, in a lot of cases, it's less harmful than alcohol and other legal substances. And with CBD, it's still so new, and it feels like that sort of buzzword and, the newest thing on the block. And so it's important that people understand what these compounds can do for people. think a lot of people have heard that the FDA approved the first drug that uses CBD oil in it, which is for treating a specific and particularly nasty type of epilepsy in children. And so that's just the beginning, though. We know that these compounds can help with anxiety, with sleep, with pain, and more people are trying it out. But there's also a lot of confusion out there, and there's a lot of products on the market right now that just aren't high quality and don't necessarily have what people say is in it in terms of ingredients, in terms of the quality of the CBD, and in terms of the potency. So it's important to educate the larger audiences that are going to start being interested in CBD products. And I think the best way to do that is with science.
Let's talk about the short form survey that you'll be using with your customers. So walk us through, if I'm a customer and I want to participate in that, what happens?
Yeah, so it takes about 5 minutes to complete the survey. And basically it asks you different questions about, how you're feeling. We do the first survey that happens ideally before they start using the products. And then we do it again at least 4 weeks later. And that kind of shows the difference in their quality of life. And these questions have been developed and used in a couple of different studies, namely the medical outcomes survey. So they're trying to prove that you can show a quality of life increase before and after any particular type of treatment or use of products. And so my co-founder, David Metzler, he had a startup in the healthcare space a while ago, and he knew some people that have used this study. And this was something that we've always wanted to implement. And it was a little bit challenging for us to consider how can we get people that'll actually want to take the survey? Because, it takes 5 minutes, but it's 36 different questions and people are busy. So we've been testing out a couple of different offers in the last week since we made this announcement with Medix CBD, our portfolio brand. And so far we've gotten pretty amazing results, actually a lot higher take rate than we initially thought. And so we're going to continue to test different ways to incentivize customers to take the survey, and they have to take it twice, right? So it's a total of 10 minutes, 5 minutes now and 5 minutes at least 4 weeks from now. And hopefully we'll be able to see enough data that will be statistically relevant. And for people that love science, that may be skeptical of CBD, this is going to be a great opportunity for them to see that these products actually do work.
Have there been any unique early returns in some of the surveys that have been returned that have made you say, well, I didn't even think that was going to be an answer?
No, I haven't actually looked into the answers yet. We've literally just started this over the weekend. And frankly, the thing that was most surprising was how many people signed up. I mean, I don't want to go into the specifics of the list size and the number of people that actually did it, but the reality is that out of a list that was over 10,000 people, we got 1.6% of them actually took the survey, not just clicked on it, like actually filled out the survey. And I think that is an indication that even customers are excited about the opportunity to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And can you guys tell me, does this, it feels like it's working to me, but, is this something that we can prove? And more research and more studies like this is just going to be helpful for everybody.
That's great. And I think as the momentum is building for, the cannabis plant in general, people do need as much information as possible to make an educated decision. So kudos to you for even starting that venture. That's great. So let's tell our listeners more about Medix CBD. Tell us about the product line. What type of products do you offer, and where can they find those products?
Yeah, absolutely. So Medix CBD was the first company that we acquired at CBD Capital Group. And we were really excited about this brand because they did over $1 million in revenue in their first year, and while remaining profitable, which is very impressive. Something I think less than 3% of businesses, startups actually do that. And they're very strong in SEO skills. They've got a young, very talented CEO who has built this brand from scratch. And also they have this multi-channel approach that mitigates risk factors in a new market where a lot can go wrong. I think some of the most common issues that we see are merchant processing, downtime, the Google algorithm changes, and that can make traffic sources unstable or unreliable. And so this company had a lot going for them, and you can find their products at medixcbd.com. They've got a lot of different media hits over the last year and a half, and they've really got some great traction. You can find them on social media if you search for Medix CBD. And they've got a bunch of products, your typical set. They've got ingestibles in forms of tinctures and oils. They've got pet products even, and topicals and vapes. So, a lot of the products that the marketplace is looking for these days, and they've got very high quality CBD. They're one of the brands that actually has the COAs on the label itself. So you always know exactly where the CBD came from and what the potency is, and with the third party lab testing there on the actual label. So very good brand. And if you haven't tried CBD yet, it's definitely a good place to start.
Great. So let's dive into your personal journey. So tell us where you came from, where you started, what businesses you've been involved in up to this point, and how you got to be a part of CBD Capital Group and acquiring these companies.
Yeah. So, I joined the Army shortly after 9/11, and I was part of a combat patrol team in Iraq. We had over 18,000 miles on the road. And I've always been entrepreneurial. I've had all kinds of sales jobs, even including door-to-door sales. And I kind of got into internet marketing after the Army and was able to establish some passive income from affiliate marketing. And then in 2013, Dave Asprey had recently started marketing Bulletproof Coffee and asked me to run his marketing because I had quickly become his top affiliate. So I was a sixth employee there at Bulletproof. And over the next 3.5 years, we grew that company over 20x. And I built a department of 50 full-time people as chief marketing officer. And I left that company to do some consulting for a few years before co-founding CBD Capital Group with my business partners, David Metzler and Jim Moriarty.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your service. As somebody that was actually in the middle of 9/11 personally, that was thank you for your service there, of course. We always support our vets here, and your journey is pretty cool story. So let's go into CBD Capital Group if you'd like. So you described it earlier a little bit. What type of investments or companies are you looking to acquire, looking to help grow? Is it just CBD? Are you spreading out throughout the cannabis industry? Give us a little insight into that, please.
Yeah, great question. We are focused solely on CBD. When my co-founders and I we did a whiteboard session a little over a year ago, actually. We were deciding we wanted to do something together. We wanted to make an impact. It wasn't just about a financial opportunity for us. And so we kind of put all this brainstorming, these ideas on the whiteboard. And CBD was an area where we all got excited because of the potential to help a lot of people, and also because this industry is in a hockey stick growth kind of phase. And so those two things aligned, and essentially we set out to create a company where we didn't just start a brand from scratch ourselves, which we definitely had the skill set to do, but we saw that there was a fractured market with thousands and thousands of small CBD brands out there. And a lot of them probably aren't going to succeed just, based on the numbers alone, right? And so we thought, what do we have to offer these companies? And we're typically looking for companies that have established some success and have most likely broken through 7 figures in annual revenue, at least on their monthly run rate, and are profitable or close to profitable. And we want to partner with entrepreneurs who are at a point where, in order to scale, they need capital and, frankly, some help. And it's hard to run a company and manage everything from accounting and payroll to marketing and inventory and a website, et cetera. So we can help take some of the heavy lifting off the founder's plate and have them focus on what area of the business they love most, which is usually why they started the company in the first place. And so we offer these CBD entrepreneurs a path to liquidity and growth capital to get there. And, it's been a great run. It's very hard doing a startup, as a lot of your listeners know. And yet we've gone through this first year and found some early success and are excited about what we have on the future for us, because we're sort of hitting our timelines, and it's just been a great industry to be a part of. And we are only focused on CBD because if we were to try to acquire THC-based companies or companies with THC products, then it would be very limiting to a specific state. And so we want to build national brands because that's what we know how to do, and that's what we've all done in our careers. And we've got a great founding team and a great advisory board that offer a lot of different expertise in all the key business areas.
Beautiful. That's impressive. So one of the questions we get a lot, right, are these crazy valuations, whether it's a public company, a private company. What do you guys look at when you're looking at different companies and you don't have to give us your secret sauce here, but when you're making an acquisition offer to these different companies or trying to price it correctly where it makes sense for you and it makes sense for them, are you valuing it off top line revenue? Is it net income? What are you looking at exactly? I know you talked about that you want to have a certain amount of revenue and close to profitability. How are you trying to make that acquisition? Can you walk some of the business owners out there how you walk through that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And frankly, our approach is we buy in, we call it like a multiple bite of the apple approach, or another analogy is that we date, these companies, and then we sort of get engaged and then we get married with a prenup. That's our analogy because, it's hard for an entrepreneur to want to give up a chunk of the company that they started. That's their baby, right? So what our model is we buy in on a very reasonable multiple. Right now, I think that the industry right now is sort of valuing or using top line revenue as the key metric for valuations. But we believe that that's going to shift into EBITDA multiples in the near future. And so we look at those two metrics in deciding, how we're going to value the companies up front, but we give them a pretty reasonable valuation on top line revenue initially for cash that can be used to grow their company. And then we come in alongside the entrepreneur and we work with them. They get to know us. They get to see what we're like. And if everybody's happy, then we move into the next phase, which is that we have an option to buy their company, at least a controlling stake, so that we can have it on our balance sheet. And we do that second bite of the apple on our equity. So it converts at a valuation that's higher than the initial buy-in. And that's based on, industry kind of, what's out there, we like to say reasonable multiples within the industry. So that could be anywhere from, 1 to 3x top line revenue right now. And in terms of the valuations that are super crazy out there that are unrealistic and unsustainable, on the public markets, you see things up to 50x top line revenue, which just seems crazy to us. So we're targeting an exit in 2022 or 2023, which is a time when the market's going to be going through consolidation. And you're going to see a bunch of bigger private equity groups and multinational corporations that want to invest in CBD. And what they're going to do is they're not going to go and start a division from scratch. They're going to buy revenue. And so our whole positioning is we can help these small brands. We can help them grow over the next few years. And then we will be more valuable as a group because we'll have a higher amount of top line revenue. So once you get over 20, 30 million in top line revenue, and if you're profitable, because like I said, I think it's going to switch over to EBITDA multiples, then you can get, I think reasonable top line revenue multiples are like 5 to 7x. Anything above that, it'd be great if that happened, but realistically, that wouldn't be sustainable for the industry as a whole. And so that's what we're targeting. And these companies can take that ride with us. And we're helping them to mitigate risk factors because, our thesis is that we're stronger together, right? And so if we get a group of CBD brands together and they join CBD Capital Group, then everybody is going to get a higher multiple on the exit. And we're providing a lot of value along the way.
Yes, I agree. And I'm involved in very similar roll-up type entities. And you're right. Basically, what you're doing is you're allowing these smaller, I don't want to say mom and pop brands because they're not, but these smaller brands, you're giving them another exit strategy that they probably couldn't achieve on their own. So it's a win for you and it's a win for them. We've also done some acquisitions ourselves on our platforms where we've even just gotten a piece of the upside, right? So if the company's worth $5 million and we come on board and help you grow and we make you worth 10, well, we get a piece of that delta between 5 and 10 for doing that. So yeah, there's a bunch of really creative ways that you can have an option acquisition, if you will, with these brands and give them that exit strategy they can't get on their own.
That's right.
Yep. Excellent.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the cannabis industry in general and some of your feelings. Obviously the toothpaste is out of the tube. It's going to be federally legal at some point. Who knows when, whether that's tomorrow or in 5 years, who knows? What are your feelings on some of the hurdles that people have to deal with? So, obviously CBD is generally legal, but the states can still regulate it in some fashion. Cannabis or marijuana itself is all over the place. It's the Wild West. What are you seeing as some hurdles that you need to overcome? And what's your feeling on the future in the next, short term and long term?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I think that one of the biggest issues is there's just not enough research and there's not enough data to show the scientific benefits of CBD products in particular, and even with THC-based products. I mean, there's a lot of studies that are going to happen over the next several years that are going to help show those outcomes. But until we're there, it's going to be the thing that, a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at. And so until they actually experience the product themselves, they're not going to see, it's not going to click for them. And so that's why we're focused on doing on not just this survey that we've started, but also we're going to be making some interesting announcements in the next couple of weeks. Can't talk about these projects yet, but it's going to be really exciting, some of the stuff that we're doing in that space. And then also, I think that, there, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of issues that these CBD brands are experiencing, from merchant processing and various issues in terms of getting their product out to the market. And I think that what we're going to see as more regulation comes down, which is a great thing for this industry and it's needed, will be, higher standards on what kind of products you can create with CBD in them and what the potency is and how to measure that effectively so that the customer knows exactly what they're getting. And I think that right now, just, for anybody out there listening, you should really only buy products that are using American grown and processed CBD when possible, if you're in the States. And if you're in Canada, it's kind of interchangeable. I think Canada has been ahead of the game on hemp in general. And so, you can definitely trust the products that are coming from Canada and the US, especially if you can see this certificate of authenticity, the COA, which shows, this CBD is from this place and it's, this much potency, et cetera. So that's definitely something that people should watch out for. And in general, I think that as the industry adapts and the FDA and other regulatory bodies come in and give more guidelines, then we're just going to all have to adjust and move forward within that framework. And that's okay. Like I said, I think it's important and it's necessary. And the people in the CBD industry that are here for the long haul, they want that regulation to happen, and it will.
Great. I agree with everything you just said. So before we finish up with some final questions, tell us if people own their own CBD brand, maybe a smaller brand or someone that fits your criteria, how can they get in touch with you or CBD Capital Group to talk to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can check out our pretty basic website right now, cbdcapitalgroup.com. We're going to be launching a new one here soon, but there's a contact form on there. And if you check the box that says I'm a CBD brand and I'm interested in raising capital or maybe joining CBD Capital Group, that's a great way to reach out to us and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And, that is, I think that if you are a CBD brand and you're dealing with some of the growing pains or some of the issues that I mentioned earlier, we can help. And even if we don't end up, funding your company, we want to be an advocate for CBD entrepreneurs. Our mission is to help CBD entrepreneurs achieve their dreams and positively impact the world. So whenever we can have a conversation, maybe we can refer you to somebody that can help you in your area that you need help in. We're happy to do that. We want to be friends with all the key players in this industry, and we think there's plenty of room for everybody to grow. So we're not super competitive in that regard.
All right. So to finish up, I think you kind of answered these questions already, but I'll give it to you anyway. Maybe you find something different. What's something that super excites you about the industry overall and something that concerns you?
What's super exciting is the fact that this industry is going to be growing from, as a lot of us know, 600 million in 2018 is projected to be over 22 billion by the year 2022. So the idea that more and more people are going to get to experience these products and the health benefits associated with that is super exciting to me. And in terms of the things that I'm concerned about, obviously right now we've been hearing a lot about the vaping issues in the news, and people are getting really sick and in some cases actually dying. And from what we know, it looks like it's mostly these black market versions of vaping products. Now, it's mostly affecting people that are using vaping for tobacco, but I've heard of a few cases in which there were some black market kind of third-party THC-based products as well. So I think vaping is a big concern for us, and it's why we're not actively investing in companies that are solely focused on vaping. So as long as your brand is it's okay if you have some CBD vape products, if we could verify the quality of them, but we want that to be sort of less than the industry standard, which 20% of all the products being sold on the market right now are vapes. So our kind of thesis is, as long as your company has less than 20% vape sales, then we're open to you joining our group.
Mr. Zak Garcia, thank you so much for taking the time today, my friend.
Thank you so much, Lenny G. It was a pleasure to be here.
You got it. Everybody check out Medix CBD and the CBD Capital Group. Everything will be in the show notes, and we'll see you next time on the Pot.Live podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, that means you like digital media. And where is the home for all digital media content in the cannabis industry? It is Pot.Live. That's right, Pot.Live. That's where you'll find all of the podcasts that you like, just like the one you're listening to right now. All of the video content that you love, and all of the written articles, trends, news, whatever you need, it's all right there. Entertaining and educational, the home of digital media content in the cannabis industry. Visit us at Pot.Live and download the free app at your Google Play Store and the Apple iTunes Store.